Okay, so we're going to be talking about Gow King, Inopportune, Stage 1. So he's a contemporary Chinese-born artist, and he makes mixed media sculptures that are fairly large in scale. And in 2004, he created Inopportune, Stage 1, and it's actually in the Seattle Art Museum. And it consists of 9 automobiles perforated by tube lights. The cars are kind of arranged so that we can see glimpses of one car kind of flipping through the air as it explodes. Kai intended the work to refer to contemporary action movies where cars often explode and fly through the air, and car bombings by terrorists. The work challenges us to consider if this is a thrilling scene, as in a movie, or a horrendous one, as in real life. So we'll take a look at this. This was made in 2004. You can see 9 automobiles. You can only see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this picture. But you can see the lights kind of coming out that symbolize explosion, basically, and action. So kind of a thrilling scene. So, Laura Shatner, I can hardly say her last name, drapes and stretches fabric over wooden armatures. And she creates kind of a sculpture, but it also has a hollow interior space in it. And she's kind of a Los Angeles-based artist. And she straddles the boundary between sculpture and fashion design. And her pieces are human-like, but they're somewhere between human and non-human as well. And so she kind of does do a little bit of like dressmaking. She works probably with a sewing machine, some fabric. And her piece that we're going to look at is called Grim Boy from 2005. It's made out of wood, fabric, and mixed media. It's pretty large, 71 inches by 59 by 20. It uses various dark colored fabrics together with beads and furs that kind of suggest a mannequin from hell. And this is a tense, lurking figure with kind of a nervous energy. And it also kind of has an adolescent look to it, or a bird-like look to it. And it stands almost 6 feet tall. And the work's title kind of refers to maybe a trench coat clad youth. And there's also a little bit of a traditional feminist message in her work because she's doing a sort of dressmaking with her work. Rather than creating beautiful dresses, though, she's creating kind of curious quasi-human beings wearing strange articles of clothing and quotes. So we're going to look at Nick Cave. He uses an extremely wide variety of media. This piece is called Sculpture that we're going to look at. It's from 2013. It's kind of got some ceramic birds, metal flowers, kind of a ceramic Doberman, a vintage satay, and a light fixture in it. It's large. It's 88 by 72 by 44. And he finds a lot of this stuff in thrift stores. So this antique couch, he put the dog on top of that. And then the metal flowers, the light fixture, and other things are added in. And this kind of has a strong element of fantasy to it. And he keeps the objects for years before he ends up using them in his sculptures. And he said he wants to counteract the natural tendency of human beings to categorize things. And he uses recognizable things put together in unfamiliar combinations or juxtapositions in his work. So we're going to go into installation or site-specific art. Many artists now use the three-dimensional medium of installation to make their visual statements. And the artist treats an entire space as an artwork that completely transforms that space. Raphael Lozano Hemmer We're going to look at his piece called Airborne from 2013. It's an installation in Mexico City. And so basically it kind of has the news of the day projected, and then people can interact with it by getting in front of the projector and creating shadows. If they're closer to the wall, they're smaller. If they're closer to the projector, they become larger. And this is just some examples of people interacting with the piece. And then if they tend to stand still for very long, their body heat starts to rise up as kind of a smoky type look to it in the projection. And so it's kind of a way for a new way of viewers to interact with the news of the day, basically. So some installations are intended only for particular locations. And such works are called site-specific. So this piece may not necessarily, this one right here that we're looking at, may not actually be site-specific. This one could be set up in any museum, in any place, but certain pieces really do belong in a specific location, and if they are moved, they are not intended to be anywhere else but where they're at. And those are called site-specific places. So there's a piece, Richard Serra's Tilted Arc. It was 12 feet high. It blocked the view for people. It collected graffiti, and it also even become kind of like a homeless shelter in the middle of a federal office plaza. And the city wanted to relocate the work because it was just causing problems. But Richard Serra actually, in 1981, he actually filed a lawsuit because the artist believed that Tilted Arc was really meant for that spot, and to relocate it would be to destroy it as a piece. And Richard Serra, the artist, lost the case. But the matter did not turn on any legal requirement for site specificity. Rather, the court held that the government, as owner of the work, could dispose of it. And in 1989, the Tilted Arc was actually removed. So there's a picture of it. And that was in New York. But just an example of kind of a famous, really site-specific piece that ended up, causing a lawsuit. And the artist eventually did lose, but kind of an interesting story there. Olafur Eliasson, Waterfall, 2016 is what we're going to talk about next. It's actually in the Garden of Versailles in France. I believe that's the Palace of Versailles. Louis XV built that, I believe, or a lot of it. So this artist, Eliasson, created a stunning site-specific work for the Gardens of Versailles outside of Paris. It's called Waterfall. It is basically a huge cascading waterfall that from some angles appears to emerge out of nowhere. The work is an extreme version of the waterfalls and fountains that have graced the formerly royal property since the 16th century. So since the 16th century or the 1500s, they have had various waterfalls on the property, but this one's kind of more of a extreme version of that. And there's a metal scaffold that is actually that the water pours from. And, pumps carry the water from the lake to a height, very large height, but the artist actually refuses to divulge the height that this is at because he thinks that it kind of helps to preserve the dynamic impact. So we don't really know how tall it is, but obviously it's very, very tall and very impressive. It does actually almost seem to pour out of the sky. So anyway, that is basically the full lecture for the class. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I think that you could potentially, read the book and then take the quiz if you wanted to. You could potentially have 2 tabs open and, take the quiz and watch the video at the same time. I'm not really sure what would work best for you guys, but, or you can just watch the video separately, take notes, and then take the quiz. I think moving forward this week, we're not going to have an additional writing assignment. Just things are too crazy right now. It's been stressful time for everybody, and it's really hard to learn when you're stressed out. So I am trying to take that into consideration too. I mean, at first I was kind of like, well, keep calm and carry on. And I still agree with that, but I just don't think we can carry on quite as normal as we were before because there is stress for everybody that everybody is experiencing, including myself. And it's been hard to adjust. We're only on week 2 since we've been kind of quarantined. I guess we're closer to 3 weeks now, but still just a crazy time for everybody. And I think, the pace of things maybe needs to slow down a little bit. I think we'll still cover 1 chapter a week, but we'll just do the video lectures. We'll do the quiz. And I don't know if I'll be adding much more on top of that for the most part. Last week we had that additional assignment. Some of you actually have some extra credit if you guys are actually making it to this video. So Brett already used his. Peyton used hers. Tristan used hers. I still need to put in Sienna's, but actually there's a couple people, Maya, Ian, Kevin, and Abigail all have extra credit from going to Dawn Greytack's gallery and asking 2 questions. So if any of you want to use your extra credit that you have acquired at any point in time, just email me, let me know. If by the end of the semester you haven't used your extra credit, I will actually go through and see if you have any missing assignments, and I'll just do it myself and I'll add it to something if you don't get back to me about it. But anyway, enough about that. Hopefully these lectures are helpful. These are my first time, doing this, so I'm a little rusty with all of this. But I hope, throughout the semester, I've hopefully been getting a little better at it. Anyway, well, hopefully, I don't know if we'll talk to you again, but you'll see me next week on the next lecture here soon. So stay safe, stay healthy. Okay, bye.